Thanks very much, Carrie. Classes are canceled for hundreds of thousands of students across the province. The union representing faculty is now on strike. The notice came down just hours ahead of this morning's strike deadline. 12,000 teachers, counselors, and librarians will now be hitting the picket lines at 24 colleges across the province. That includes George Brown, and that's where we find Janella Massa this morning. Janella, what's the latest?
That's right, Tammy. We're outside the Culinary Arts School where they won't be serving up breakfast this morning. Students who will arrive in the next half hour will be greeted by picket lines outside of this college campus. As you mentioned, 12,000 teachers, faculty members walked off the job last night. OPSU, the union representing those faculty members, say some of the major sticking points are not wages, but rather job security, as well as academic freedom. They want to see a 50-50 ratio between part-time and full-time faculty, and they also want to have more say in the curriculum. Now, we did speak with the CEO of the College Employer Council, who told us that they're just not able to meet those demands.
Sticking point is the union would like to see a full-time complement ratio in the colleges. Essentially, it would force the employer into a staffing complement, into a rigid regime, and quite frankly, we don't see that as a way forward. They talk about academic freedom and essentially talking about academic control. So yes, faculty are a very important part of the process, but we also use accreditation bodies, program advisory committees, to help shape the programs for the colleges.
Now, the strike is affecting 500,000 students across 24 college campuses. No word on how long this strike could last. The CEO did say that they have had work stoppages before and no students have ever lost their entire year. There is a petition, though, circulating where students are asking for some money back because of this strike. No word on if the College Council will be able to do that, and there are currently no talks scheduled as of yet. I'll send it back to the newsroom.
All right, thanks very much, Janella. Now, there may soon be labor peace at General Motors' Kami Ingersoll plant as 2,800 workers vote today on whether or not to accept the company's latest offer. The strike has idled the lines for the past month. The union says the tentative deal ensures work will stay at the local plant. GM had threatened to move some production to Mexico. If the deal is accepted, work could resume tonight. Meanwhile, striking Swissport workers at Pearson Airport have accepted a tentative deal in a dispute that's had them off the job since July. The baggage handlers, cleaners, and other ground staff have agreed to a deal which sees them get a small wage hike and improvements in benefits and scheduling issues. The 700 employees are expected back on the job by Wednesday. And in other labor news, a strike which could see 1,000 Brinks workers walk off the job first thing on Thursday morning is brewing. The union claims the company's refusal to address staffing levels is putting lives at risk. In other news, give yourself some extra time if you're about to use the Queen streetcar. Track replacement at Queen and McCall is about to begin this morning. This is a live look at the intersection right now. It's expected to close any moment now. The work is expected to take about 3 weeks. During that time, the streetcar will be rerouting via Spadina, King, and Church. Shuttle buses are running between Bathurst and Jarvis, but they also won't be able to get through the intersection, so they will reroute using Simcoe, Richmond, and Adelaide, as well as John Street. The Taliban denies claims made by former Canadian hostage Joshua Boyle that the terror group raped his wife and killed his young daughter. Boyle, now back at his family's home in the Ottawa area, said upon his return Friday that the Taliban raped his American wife and murdered his daughter. Boyle's family was freed by Pakistani forces Thursday after spending 5 years in captivity in Afghanistan. He also claims that he was often beaten by his captors. The death toll in those California wildfires now has hit 40, with more than 5,700 homes and businesses left in ruins. And while the battle to fight the flames continues, crews admit it's nowhere near under control. 100,000 people have been forced from their homes. 16 major fires are still raging. Here's how large the damage is. The flames have now consumed an area as large as New York City. Free agent quarterback Colin Kaepernick has filed a grievance for collusion against the NFL owners. Kaepernick's filing demands an arbitration hearing on the alleged collusion. The quarterback claims the owners are depriving him of his employment rights in retaliation for his leadership and advocacy for equality and social justice and bringing awareness to institutions undermining racial equality. The NFL Players Association issued a statement yesterday offering him their support. Kaepernick drew national attention last season. That's when he knelt during the national anthem before games to protest social injustice. Finance Minister Bill Morneau will unveil changes today to his controversial small business tax reform proposals. The proposed reforms were meant to end measures that the government thought were being used by the wealthy to use incorporation as a small business to reduce income tax. But the proposed reforms triggered a backlash from doctors, lawyers, accountants, shop owners, and farmers who claimed the reforms would hurt the middle-class Canadians if that it was trying to help. The announcement today is expected to be a lowering of the small business tax from 10.5% to 9%. Other changes to the tax reforms proposal are expected later this week. A new Democrat MP wants an emergency debate today in the House of Commons on what can be done to help more than 12,000 Sears workers about to lose their jobs. Sears got the green light to liquidate their remaining 130 stores by a court Friday. MP Scott Duval says the move will not only impact the laid-off employees, but other small businesses and their suppliers.